This is my ranking of turn-based wargames that I've played based purely on my personal experience. Each one is placed from masterpiece down to trash, depending on how deep the tactical decisions are, how well positioning and unit matchups matter, and how engaging the long-term battlefield strategy feels. Let's get straight into the list. Order of Battle, World War II, put me in command of military forces across major World War II campaigns, where every mission required planning several turns ahead. I moved infantry, tanks, artillery, aircraft, and warships across hex-based battlefields while capturing objectives and pushing enemy forces back. My core units stayed with me throughout the campaign, so protecting experienced troops became just as important as winning battles. I had to manage resources carefully, deciding when to repair damaged units and when to spend points on reinforcements. Some missions focused on large land offensives, while others involved naval operations with carriers, battleships, and destroyers. Secondary objectives often changed how later battles unfolded, which made long campaigns feel connected. After many hours commanding armies across different fronts, this lands in my good tier. Battle Academy is a turn-based World War II strategy game where I commanded infantry, tanks, artillery, and support units across a series of tactical battles. Each mission placed me on compact battlefields with different objectives, from defending positions to capturing key locations and destroying enemy forces. I moved units carefully, using terrain, cover, and line of sight to gain an advantage while managing action points and limited attacks each turn. Suppression played a major role, allowing me to pin enemy troops before advancing or launching an assault. Tanks were powerful but needed infantry support, while artillery and mortars helped weaken strong defenses from a distance. The campaign gradually introduced new units and challenges, making every battle require a different approach. This stands as a clear choice for my great tier. The troop had me leading Allied soldiers through the battles of Normandy, where every move across the battlefield could decide the outcome of a mission. I commanded rifle squads, machine gun teams, mortar crews, tanks, and artillery while advancing through fields, villages, and defensive positions occupied by German forces. Each turn required careful planning because line of sight, terrain, armor angles, and morale all played major roles in combat. Tanks could absorb punishment from the front but became vulnerable when enemy units reached their sides, while infantry were needed to secure ground and support armored advances. Story mode let me carry a persistent force between missions, adding extra value to keeping experienced units alive. The demanding tactical battles and strong battlefield decision-making placed this in my masterpiece tier. Hex of Steel dropped me into large World War II battlefields, where every decision affected supply lines, resources, and the survival of my forces. I commanded infantry, tanks, artillery, aircraft, and naval units across hex-based maps while trying to capture objectives and weaken enemy positions. Battles were about more than direct attacks, as I could set up ambushes, coordinate support fire, cut supply routes, destroy bridges, and disrupt enemy production by targeting towns and factories. Different unit types came with their own strengths, weaknesses, and customization options, which added another layer of planning before a battle even began. The campaign structure followed historical conflicts, and the large number of mechanics rewarded careful thinking and long-term strategy. The depth and freedom of its battlefield systems secure its place in my great tier. Field of Glory II Medieval put me in command of armies from medieval Europe, where battles were decided by positioning, timing, and the effective use of different troop types. I directed infantry, spearmen, archers, crossbowmen, knights, and cavalry across battlefield maps inspired by historical conflicts. Every turn required careful planning because terrain, unit quality, formation, morale, and combat advantages all influenced the outcome. Once units became heavily engaged, controlling the flow of battle became much harder, making early decisions extremely important. Heavy cavalry often served as the decisive force, capable of breaking enemy lines when used at the right moment. Beyond individual battles, I could fight through historical scenarios, custom matches, and longer campaigns featuring armies from across medieval Europe. Its strong tactical gameplay earns a place in my excellent tier. Decisive campaigns, Barbarossa placed me in command of massive military operations during the German invasion of the Soviet Union, where battlefield success depended on both strategy and leadership decisions. I managed huge armies across an enormous front, moving divisions, maintaining supply lines, coordinating offensives, and trying to keep momentum without exhausting my forces. Every advance required attention to logistics, because units performed best when connected to headquarters and supply networks. Beyond combat, I dealt with political events, officer relationships, shifting objectives, and difficult choices that could affect the entire campaign. Playing as Germany meant balancing military plans with interference from Hitler, while the Soviet side involved managing Stalin's paranoia and unreliable commanders. The combination of large-scale warfare, logistics, politics, and decision-making makes this an easy pick for my masterpiece tier. Valor and Victory put me in command of small World War II combat groups fighting across tactical battlefields inspired by the fighting in northern France. I controlled infantry squads, machine gun teams, anti-tank guns, tanks, and officers while working toward objectives such as capturing key positions, eliminating enemy forces, or moving units off the map. Battles followed a clear turn structure where I had to decide when to fire, move, rally troops, or launch assaults. Positioning was extremely important because enemy reaction fire could stop an advance before it reached its target. Heavy weapons helped control important areas, while tanks provided support against fortified positions and enemy armor. The game also included a scenario editor that allowed for a wide variety of custom battles. Its solid tactical gameplay places it in my good tier. Strategic Command WW1 had me directing the war efforts of entire countries across the battlefields of the First World War. I coordinated armies, naval forces, and air units while fighting campaigns that stretched across Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and beyond. Every turn involved balancing military operations with research, diplomacy, production, and national morale. Battles were influenced by factors such as supply, leadership, readiness, weather, entrenchment, and reconnaissance, making preparation just as important as the attack itself. I could invest in new technologies, pressure neutral nations through diplomacy, and respond to historical events that shaped the course of the conflict. Keeping my nation stable was just as important as winning battles because morale losses could weaken an entire war effort. Its blend of strategy and scale places it in my great tier. Panzer Corps II let me build and command a growing military force across World War II campaigns, carrying veteran units from one battle to the next as the war expanded across different fronts. Every mission challenged me to capture objectives, break defensive lines, and surround enemy formations using infantry, tanks, artillery, aircraft, and reconnaissance units. Positioning was critical because encircled forces could surrender, allowing me to capture equipment and weaken enemy resistance without destroying every unit. New mechanics such as unit splitting, overruns, hero assignments, and improved transport options added more tactical choices during battles. As my army gained experience, I had to decide which units deserved upgrades and which strategies fit my campaign best. The combination of satisfying battlefield tactics and long-term army development secures its place in my masterpiece tier. Fantasy General 2 sent me on a long fantasy campaign where I led a growing army through wars, rival factions, and battles that shaped the future of my people. I recruited warriors, archers, trolls, centaurs, and other creatures while managing limited resources and deciding which units deserved valuable upgrades. Every battle took place on hex-based maps where terrain, positioning, and unit composition played major roles in success. Casualties mattered because wounded soldiers could recover, but fallen troops were gone permanently unless replaced at a cost. Hero characters gained experience, unlocked new abilities, and equipped items that strengthened my army in different ways. Between missions, I had to balance recruitment, upgrades, and army development while following a campaign filled with choices and memorable encounters. Its rewarding mix of tactics and progression earns it a spot in my great tier. Warhammer 40,000 Battlesector dropped me into a brutal war against Tyrannid swarms, where every mission required careful positioning and effective use of my unit's abilities. I commanded Space Marines, Sisters of Battle, heroes, and specialized troops across tactical battlefields while trying to stop waves of enemies from overrunning my forces. Combat depended heavily on range because each weapon performed best at certain distances, making movement and target selection important parts of every turn. Between missions, I could adjust my army composition and invest in upgrades that strengthened different unit types for future battles. The campaign followed a story told through multiple characters, adding context to each operation while introducing new challenges along the way. Its strong mix of tactical combat, progression, and Warhammer atmosphere earns a place in my great tier. Field of Glory 2, Medieval challenged me to command armies of knights, spearmen, archers, cavalry, and infantry in battles inspired by real medieval conflicts across Europe. Every engagement revolved around positioning units correctly before the fighting began, because once formations became locked in combat, changing the course of battle became much more difficult. I spent my turns protecting vulnerable troops, finding weak points in enemy lines, and looking for opportunities to launch decisive cavalry charges. Morale played a major role, as a single routed unit could trigger panic across nearby formations and cause an entire battle line to collapse. Beyond historical scenarios, the game included custom battles and campaigns that allowed me to experiment with different armies and matchups. Its strong battlefield tactics and historical depth make it worthy of my excellent tier. Decisive Campaign's Ardennes offensive recreated the Battle of the Bulge at a detailed operational level, where I managed divisions and combat formations across a battlefield shaped by weather, terrain, supply, and uncertainty. Each day was divided into multiple phases, forcing me to think carefully about movement, attacks, and positioning throughout changing conditions. What stood out most was the fog of war system, which often left me unsure of enemy locations and intentions until contact was made. Night operations reduced visibility even further, making advances through forests and road networks feel tense and unpredictable. Supply lines, traffic congestion, artillery support, and command ranges all influenced how effectively my forces operated. The combination of immersion, operational depth, and battlefield tension makes this a worthy entry in my excellent tier. That's all for this ranking. The best games weren't about moving units, they were about making the right moves at the right time. Thanks for watching.